The way that you get competitive advantages is by doing the things that other people are not willing to do. So in this video, I'm showing you how you could do those things either for fishing or for something else as well that you're already competent in, another niche that you could completely dominate. This video is going to be all about how you can flip fishing books on Amazon for huge profit through online book arbitrage, which just means buying the book on Amazon and reselling on Amazon for a profit. Now, my name is Joji Davenport. I'm a retired high school teacher and a book flipper. My goal is to help you all become successful booksellers as well. Now, we're primarily going to be using Keepa Product Finder in this video, but what I want to let you know is that this style of sourcing can be used for literally any niche out there. And again, what I want you to do is take what you learned from this video and apply it to other niches so that you can build lists of books that are replens, books that you can flip over and over and over again in a specific niche and really just dominate that area. So over here, I came across a book, Fly Fishing Coastal Cutthroat Trout. There's so many words in here that make this just a niche book. You know, that being fly fishing, which is kind of a more specialized type of fishing, cutthroat, which is a specific type of trout, and then flies techniques, just meaning different ways or different, skills within fly fishing. But you'll see that there's only one offer on this listing for $34. You look at the Keepa graph, it's not a book that is sold very often, but it's a book that definitely has an intrinsic value. And if I look at the Keepa graph, I'm just kind of overlapping the lowest price on Amazon with sales rank drops. Looks like the book can easily sell for 30 to 40, even to $50 or more. Now, important part to understand here is that there were key times where you could have picked this book up for an absolutely amazing deal on Amazon. And that's why if you're tracking these books, which I'll show you how to do in a second, you can dominate this book about, fly fishing and cutthroat trout and all the other types of books about it as well. So if we look back here right before, or actually January of 2020, this book got down to about $6 to $8 plus shipping. And that was alive and available for sale for about 5 or 6 days. You can see back here in January of what year is that? 2023. So a couple years later, this book got down to $6.66 plus shipping. And since then, you had multiple opportunities to sell for $35, $45, $50 or more. Now, $34, I wouldn't be buying this book because I think you could probably flip it for between 50 and 60. So there's probably not too much margin on it for me personally, but it's what can we take from this book to find other books in this specific niche. So what we're going to do is go over to Keepa Product Finder. And the way that this would work is you would literally just type in keepa.com. Now you will need a Keepa subscription in order to access Keepa Product Finder and also Keepa alerts. But once you are at Keepa, you're just going to go to the data tab and go to Product Finder. And the first way that we're going to search is just for fishing. So we're actually going to start a little bit more broad, but then we are going to be more niche specific with it. So what we'll do here is simply scroll down and Keepa Product Finder. And the first thing that we're going to do is just select the book category under root category. That just means that we want to only look for books. Now, the next thing that we're going to do in the text field is just type fishing. And all this is going to do is search for the title or search for the term fishing in the actual title. So you can see we have 81,000 books that have fishing somewhere in the title. Now, not every one of those books are going to be books that we want to flip. Actually, probably a small percentage of them are. So how can we kind of narrow this list down to find the winning books, the books that we want to buy? Because by the way, we are wanting to probably buy fishing books that sell for $30 or more on a consistent basis, even if it's not super frequently, as long as it's consistent. So we're then going to scroll back up to the top. And what I would say is for the used price, we should probably select I'm going to say 180-day average of $30 or more, just so that we are finding the fishing books which have more value. And so you can see that drastically cuts down the results to about 5,400 books. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is on your keyboard, hit Control and hit F. That's the find function. And I'm just going to type in drops. So you can see drops up here, brings us to drops in the last 180 days. I'm going to put 6. What this tells us is that the sales rank has improved dramatically at least 6 times in the last 6 months, which tells us that on average it sells or should sell at least once per month. So we do want to find books that we can flip, but we also want books that obviously sell, right? So with this, we get 126 results. And now what we're going to do is kind of hover over each of these titles to see if any of these books hold intrinsic value and if there's a possibility where this book gets cheap enough where we could buy it at some point in time over the next year, 2 years, or decade, and then flip it on Amazon for what its actual intrinsic value is. So I'm just going to keep going down, and here's the first book that I find that has potential. You can see this is the new updated Lunkers Love Night Crawlers, the deadliest live bait fishing method that anyone can use. This lowest cheese price, basically the whole year, has been around $35. There have been multiple sales rank drops, so that tells us that This book is regularly on Amazon listed for $35 or more, and the sales rank does improve quite often, meaning that people are buying this book at least $35, if not more. Now, the other reason why I wanted to select this is because you can see there are periods of time where the book also gets pretty cheap. So even though, this book is in the 20s and 30s back here in April, or actually May of 2023, it was down here at $4 plus shipping. And in my opinion, that's a buy. This is a book that you could have picked up for $8 on Amazon that could easily sell for about $35 on Amazon. So if you're thinking buy for $8, sell for $35, you're probably making about $10, $11 profit. But this is what I would consider a replen, a book that has been out for 3,200 days. And you could go back in time in, for example, January of 2020, or, this would be November of 2023 or 2020, 2020. And this book is selling for like over $30. And so there are many times where this is a book that you can buy when it gets to those cheap prices and go ahead and pick it up and send it back to Amazon and make money on it. It's a no-brainer to buy this book. And I would say, based upon the historical data that I'm seeing, that it can sell for $30 to $35 pretty easy. I'd say under $8 is a pretty no-brainer, like very, very low risk buy on a book like this. So what I would do is come up here to the track product feature, and under used, just go ahead and put in $8. I would say include shipping costs. And in order for you to see shipping costs, you actually have to have selected the advanced mode. So I think by default you're on basic, but you want to select the advanced mode. $8 all in shipping, and I would just track it over the next 10 years because that's how long Amazon will, or how long Keepa will let you track. And this is a book that, again, it's been out for over a decade already. And so it's a book that you could be flipping for the next decade. So you can see I'm going to get emailed. I'll get a Telegram message. You can also get a, Chrome web push notification if you want. And the cool thing about books like this, not too many people are actually really looking for this. There's only 2 people tracking this besides me. And what that means is it's not really what I would say is, it's not a sexy book. It's not like a book that's going to drop in price by a lot and instantaneously be gone, because not very many people are looking for this book. Not many people would, in the way that we know that is, it can get undervalued and stay there for a couple of days or a week or 2 weeks. And so you have plenty of time with a Keepa alert or Keepa notification in order, to pick up this book. Now, some other things I really like about this book is a healthy sort of up and down movement in the offer count. So you can see how it kind of goes up and down pretty consistently over time every year. And that's just a good news that's just a good sign that the book is actually selling in addition to the sales rank drops that you're seeing. Now, the way that we make this more advanced is we realize that even though we have a total of 126 results that we still need to get through on this page, what you should be doing is maybe on a notepad, or maybe you're on your computer, start typing out some of the other keywords, which might be very niche or very specific to types of fishing that could lead you down other rabbit holes and could give you other books. The reason why this is a major competitive advantage is because even though we ran a Keepa Product Finder search, we only searched for the title fishing, meaning the only fishing books that will pop up are the fishing books that actually say fishing in the title. But it's very possible that some of the best fishing books, some of the best niche fishing books that you want to buy, don't actually have fishing in the title. And with just the singular search, you would actually not find it. So just simply look at the title of this one book that we just came out, that we just talked about. We have lunkers, we have night crawlers, we have bait. Those are 3 words which I think you could probably use. So I'll just go ahead and show you how we would then take this new information. So again, I would recommend, probably doing one thing at a time. And so honestly, I'd recommend going through this entire list of 126 books to see which of those you can track to set up a replens list with. And while you're doing that on a notepad, go ahead and start typing out these keywords, for that you want to do other product finder searches for. So let's say we've gone through all these books. This one in particular, we have night crawlers. So what we're going to do is the same thing. We're just going to go to keepa.com. And now we're going to do essentially the same search with night crawlers as the title. So you would simply scroll down, again, go to the book category. You're going to now in the title, type in night crawlers. There's 110 books with night crawlers. Control F, type in drops again, go to 6 drops over the last 180 days. There's only 6 books. And so what this tells us is that there's only 6 books with that title in it, and maybe not all of these books, just from quick glance, it only looks, so this is the book that we originally had seen, and maybe there's only 2 more books that are even relevant to this fishing niche or fishing category. But here we go. I see a book called Lunkers Love Nightcrawler. So notice how this is a book about fishing, but fishing is nowhere in the title, so we wouldn't have found this book unless we did this more advanced search. So Lunkers Love Nightcrawlers. we can see that the most recent sell had to have been at least $37 because that's what the lowest recorded price on Amazon was, and the sales rank approved. Now you can see that throughout the year, this book has sold anywhere, for as low as $10 plus shipping, again, all the way up to $37. And if you expand historical data and go back over a decade, 2015, you can see that every year this book definitely sells, and at some points, it can sell for $20 or more. So again, the goal is we want to find books that probably sell for $30 or more on a regular basis. But again, you have opportunities such as this right here in 2022, where this book got down to $2 plus shipping. You could have picked this up for basically $6 or $7 on Amazon, sent it right back to Amazon, and you probably could have asked $20, $25, $29.99. Could have got sell for $37.99. And you can even see that, we have a seller at $38.95 plus $4.95 shipping, and they went off the listing. So they very likely sold this book for $42. And so this could still be a book that you want to track, and you could simply track the product and say, hey, whenever it gets under $7, let me know. And look at how cool this is. Under the statistics tabs are actually to the left of the statistics tab. If anybody was tracking this, there would be something called community tracking, and there's actually nobody there. So nobody's even tracking this book. Nobody would be notified if this book got to a target price of $8 or so. And so here's a great book that we could potentially find. Now notice that we also have lunkers here in the title, and even in the previous book we also had lunkers in the title. So it seems like lunkers is another title that we could look at. Now if we look at the search here, it looks like we had another book here which had night crawlers in it, but Amazon's selling this book for, looks like Keepa is having a hard time loading, but from the snapshot, Amazon's selling it for $15. It doesn't sell very often, so we would leave that alone and just go on to the next one. Now what we could do is go back and click on this advanced filter, and now we're just gonna Control F and type title in, and come back down here. Instead of night crawlers, we are just going to type in lunkers, and this could be more of a general term, so there could be other books with lunkers in the title that come here that are not fishing books. But yeah, all right, so doing this with the title lunkers gives us 2 products, and this happens to be the only 2 books that we found there. Now again, there could be more books, but we're looking for books that have at least sold once per month on average. So there could be better books as well, but we again want to find books that are actually selling. Now when I look at some other books with that first initial Keepa search, there's so many keywords that we can find here. I mean, we have ourselves trout would be a good one. We have ourselves nymph. We have dry fly. We have still water. So I mean, there's so many different. We even have let's see what else we have. Angler. That would be a good one. Let's try that out. So we'll go back to Keepa Product Finder, and we'll now just go and type in angler and see if we can find anything with angler in the title. So 79 products here. And again, this is just another rabbit hole for us to go down to see if these aren't books that we can flip. Now I'm just going to go one by one. Now a lot of these books are probably sold where, Amazon's still on the listing. And so, they might be capping the price in terms of like how high we can sell these books for. So we, for the most part, are probably going to be wanting to find books that are, out of print that Amazon's not selling. And one of the other things that I should mention that's really important as well is there oftentimes can be seasonality to specific niches. Like for example, fly fishing for catfish. That could be a seasonal thing. I don't know, because I'm really not that educated on fishing in general. Although I do like to fish, but I'm not really that educated in all the different types of fishing and all the seasons and things like that. But the reason why I opened this book was because even though I see that it generally has a low price, I do see a little bit of seasonality in July here where the sales run gets a little bit better. And I'll show that here with the drawing, where it looks like it gets a little bit better there in July. So maybe there's some seasonality there, or some seasonality there, or some seasonality there. This particular book, it doesn't really look like its used price really spikes at any particular time, with the exception of, April and June at this one particular year. But again, it's just another rabbit hole for us to go down. Now, there's another keyword there, which was catfish. We have flatheads as well. So, there's other things that we could be looking for. And I'm just now realizing the reason why we're finding some of these lower dollar books is because we actually don't have that $30 or more 180 days average. And you can see that there's only 4 books. So that significantly reduces the number of books we're looking for. And look at this, The Scientific Angler. This is an incredible book. I mean, it has sold multiple times for over $100. You can see there have been 3 points in time where this book got down to $29. This book got down to 39 and then got down to 27. And those all sold instantly. There's 22 people tracking this book because it's a very expensive book, right? You would expect people to be tracking expensive books because of the fact that, well, they're very expensive, and if you find a great deal on it, then you're going to be able to make a great margin on it, right? But here is an incredible book that I'm even tracking for way too cheap. I'm only tracking it for $18. I really should be tracking it for like $50. So I could say $50 include shipping costs, and I can update that. But again, just another book that you can add to your Keepa Track Product feature, so that you're tracking overview. You have, a bunch of these fishing books that you're adding. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in terms of keywords. We have saltwater. Again, we have trout, so we could be looking at that as well. So why don't we actually type in trout now? So we're gonna go ahead and search for title again, and in the text field, we're gonna go ahead and just type in trout. So we have 32 results here, and again, we can go one by one, and here's a good example of a book: Falcon Guide Hiking California's Golden Trout Wilderness. So a book about backpacking, but also about fish a little bit as well. And there's been sales at over $40, $35, and so. Here's again another example of a book. Only one person is tracking this. And so you could really just be an expert at this type of niche of different types of fly fishing. And again, understand how this applies to other niches. What I would recommend you actually do is not do this for fishing or fly fishing or the different types of fishing. I'd recommend that you think about what hobby do you have? What is it that you already know quite a bit about in terms of a niche, and search for those books because you already understand them a little bit more than just the general person would. And see if it's possible that you can find a number of seasonal books or a number of replenishable books in those categories that you could buy and sell many times over the next decade. So again, here's another example of this book in 2022 where it had completed sales in the 40s, and then for a 2-month period is down at $2 plus shipping. That would be a great time to load up on a bunch of copies of this book because it has already performed historically. And $2 plus shipping, like $6. You could buy 10 copies at $6 and only be into it for $60. You'd only need to sell like 2 of those 10 copies in order to break even, and all the rest is gravy. And while these books aren't going to sell quickly, they will sell consistently over a period of time. For this particular book, if you send it to Amazon and list it at like $39.99, because again, you bought 10 copies at $6, you'd probably sell like 3 or 4 this year, maybe 3 or 4 the next year. And that's something that I'd be willing to do. And yeah, Joji, long-term storage fees. Well, long-term storage fees are actually quite insignificant when you are making incredible margins like that. Now, some other, words I see up here is I see golden trout. So maybe golden might be a little bit too broad because, we would already find it with trout. But I also see things like Sierra Nevadas. The Sierra Nevada mountains are a great place to go fishing. So that particular area could have great fish as well. But yeah, the goal here is just to find a bunch of books. This one as well, spinner fishing for steelhead. Look at that, steelhead, salmon, trout. Those are all different keywords that would be great. Now, again, another book you should track, and only has 7 people that are looking at it. And by the way, this book might also have some seasonality because it's about salmon and steelhead. But anyways, what I want to say about this book is there's more advanced ways to go even further than this. And people are always asking me about competitive advantages. Like the number one thing people always ask me is, Joji, when's the best time to source? And the answer to that is any time during the day is the best time to source. There's really no best time to source. It's just to source. Like if you're sourcing, you're doing the right thing. It doesn't really matter when you're doing it. It's certainly not going to be the reason for my success as a bookseller when I source. That literally plays 0 factor in terms of my ability to succeed in this business. The way that you get competitive advantages is by doing the things that other people are not willing to do. So in this video, I'm showing you how you could do those things either for fishing or for something else as well that you're already competent in another niche that you could completely dominate. Some things that come to mind would be like, for example, knitting or pottery or ceramics or backpacking or hunting or a lot of these other niches that can go really deep that are very popular or widespread where you can notice a lot of books. Now, we have these other terms like steelhead, salmon, and trout we can do the same thing with, but the next thing that I want to show you is to go a little bit further. Let's actually look at the author, because Jed Davis has written the 3rd edition of this book, and the 3rd edition of this book is still regularly selling for $40 or more in used condition. It's a book that holds intrinsic value. It's a book that actually has quite a bit of value. So it's possible that he just wasn't some one-off that wrote one great book about fishing that's super specific to steelhead and salmon and trout. He probably has written other books. Maybe not, but maybe he has. My guess is that he probably has written other books. And so if you just simply click on his name here, what this will do is show you all his other books that he's written. And it looks like we have a total of, does it tell us the number of results here? 7 results. So 7 other books. And same thing, you just hover over the product to see if any of these books are actually flippable. So we have this book here. This is probably the 2nd edition. Okay. We have another book here, and it doesn't look like any of these other books are actually relevant. So maybe this guy was just a one-off, but you're going to, if you do that with every good book that you find, you click on the author, I guarantee you it's going to bring you down another rabbit hole so that you can find awesome books. I see this other book here, which is interesting. The most recent sale was at 70. It was, for 4 or 5 months out of 2024 at $15 or less. Not a book that sells too frequently, but a book that can easily sell for quite a bit of money. So again, you have opportunity. Nobody's tracking this book. Nobody on Amazon is tracking this book, which is just crazy. But yeah, I mean, if this book ever gets under $12, $15, I'm certainly buying this book because there are repeatable sales. There's evidence of historical data going back to 2019 where this book could sell for $50 or more. And that's all we really need to do. If we can sell the book for double or triple or buying it for, we really are winning. And again, the most recent sell here is at 69. So come here, track the book, figure out whatever that price is you're willing to buy the book at. For me, I'm going to say if it gets under $15 or less, let me know. I'm going to start tracking that over 10 years and I'll get notified. And the beauty here is that you don't have to worry about this Keepa notification being bought up by someone else if the book gets under 15 because of the fact that nobody else is actually actively looking for the book, right? Now, I want to go ahead with this same book, see if we can find an author that actually does have other books that are actually worth flipping. So I'll click on his name and it looks like we have some other, so we have his book there. And do we see anything that is related to fishing? So this is a book about estuaries and fowl. And yeah, I'm not really seeing anything yet. But again, I guarantee you're going to find great stuff. It's usually when you find an author that's written a great book, they probably have written other great books as well. Not all the time. We kind of got unlucky at the first 2 that we looked at, but that's okay. And the other really important strategy to understand is that Amazon wants you to buy books. They want you to spend money. So they're always going to recommend books that other people will have bought as a way to try to get you to spend more money so they can make more money. And that's actually a good thing for you because similar items that deliver to you quickly, these are other books about this topic or that other books that people who bought this book may have also bought. And these are potential leads for us. So the first one that was really interesting to me was this book, Trout Bum, only because I saw on its Keepa graph that its sales rank went incredibly low here in October, which would indicate that it has seasonality to it. This book was $1, got shot up to about $13 to $14. Amazon even understood that and raised their price. And it doesn't look like that really holds true for, years past, but there could have been something there. And this particular book, again, it would need to have gotten much higher, maybe $25 or $30 at the lowest use price for that to be a seasonal book. But again, that's a book that was recommended to us. That's a book that potentially could have been a great book. Now, all you would do is simply just use your cursor to hover over these other products. And again, all you're trying to do is to find a book that actually is selling for like $30 or more at the lowest use price and is, it has sales rank drop, so it's actually selling. This particular book was interesting because it was out of stock and you can see how popular it was when it was out of stock. I mean, as soon as Amazon went out of stock, they were selling it at $12 and they went out of stock, it went up to $20 to $30 and tons of people selling it. So this particular book, once it finally is stopped being printed, is going to be an amazing book. I wouldn't really recommend taking the risk of buying the book new and holding it for a long period of time. Just know that this is a book for years in the future, maybe 2028, 2029, for example, where the book no longer is going to be actively printed and then it will become a book that will be a replay. And that's a great thing about, books. Is books, the entire category is cleansing, right? You have books that come and books that go. You have books that stay the test of time, but there's always going to be new opportunities, and that's really the great thing. Here's yet another book, Modern Streamers for Trophy Trout, New Techniques, Tactics, and Patterns. So again, a book that doesn't have fishing in it, but an incredible book. And this book is already, significantly lower than what it had been selling for earlier this year. And you can see that this book has plenty of historical data of selling for $50 or more. And you can see there are periods of time, very interestingly, where this book is out of stock. And let me show you that. So right around there, out of stock, right around there, out of stock, basically out of stock there. Those are points in time where you want to be in stock, because if you're in stock, you're going to be the one selling the book for almost guaranteed. And this book just, has a lot of data to suggest it can sell for a lot of money, which is great. I would say currently priced at $40, it's a little bit too expensive for my liking. But again, you do have people who have been winning the buy box in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So it is possible that some of those people are selling the books, but for me, I'd want to be in at a lower price point. I would say for a book like this, oh, sorry, I was looking at wrong. I was looking at data that was maybe a year old. It's currently priced at about $24 plus shipping. So now we're getting much closer to a price at which I feel comfortable picking the book up. I would say if I could pick this up at under $17, I'd be very happy with that. And again, you can see there's people winning the buy box at 45. Here's somebody who's at $50. They came in stock. We're in stock for not very long, 6 days, and they went out of stock at $50. So a great book there that, again, you could have picked up if you were tracking for right around, it'd been 13 plus shipping, so right around 17 or 18 bucks, which is great. But yet again, another book that you can add to your replens list. And let's see if this particular book has a author that has other books, or let's see if there's anything to recommend. And this book actually is written by 3 authors, which is great. And there's actually 2 authors in a foreword, but we can simply click on their names and see if they have any. So these are his top ASINs here. So it looks like Amazon is selling most of them, or most of them don't have too much value. So unfortunately not. But again, it was worth looking, and you're definitely going to hit some winners by doing this. So definitely you want to make sure you're looking for that. Okay, so here's one example from Kelly Gallup. So you can see that this book looks really good right here, Cripples and Spinners. By the way, Cripples and Spinners, apparently I don't even know what a cripple is, but I know what a spinner is. That's fishing. I don't know what a cripples is, but cripples is another keyword that you can use that nobody else would use. Because who would think of cripples other than somebody who's actually into fishing and knows what that means? Let's see if there's anything. So it looks like he had one other book that was great, 1 or 2 other books which were great. Now, I don't want this video to be too long because it's already incredibly long, but you might also be able to find some books that have seasonality here. And wow, this book looks great. It actually just dropped in price not too long ago, and for $2 plus shipping, and it's probably instantly bought because there are 6 people tracking it. But this book is incredibly popular. It's basically, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, many completed sales, even higher than that in the past. And again, you have yourself, this is probably the person who wrote it, Rich Murphy. I would bet that he probably has other books about fishing as well. Let's see if he does or not. But I guess he only has one book that is just killing it. That's okay. But the point I was trying to make is there definitely is going to be some book in here that has a lot of seasonality to it, or has some seasonality to it, and those would be great books to flip. So anyways, really hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys and gals in the next one. Peace.